Beautiful, beautiful, beloved beings. I am just going to visit you straight from the shower. Yeah, I am jumping on based on a spur of the moment expression around some of you that might have landed in the new earth and some of the confusion that's really taking place for many of us as we have transitioned out of old earth consciousness and old earth paradigms and into new earth, and the level of cognitive mind that might be bringing in a bit of disruption to your experience. So what I mean by that is that we're going to take a couple of deep breaths first by breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. This is what happens when you have a spirit of the moment to just get on a video and you're like, oh, I don't even know what I look like. Like this. So what has happened? What has actually just happened for so many of us? There's a large percentage of people that have fully stepped out of the old earth paradigms and the old earth consciousness. And by doing so, there's still a cellular memory that's taking place, and there's an expression of your own physical anatomy that's holding the residual frequencies. So the physical body is going through a really challenging point of time where it does not know how to delete the old consciousness. And so it's very different to tethering between worlds. So if you have moved into new paradigms or quantum leaped before, or you've had one foot in one reality and one foot in another, what happens is you can sort of teeter between the two realms, and you might still have your old friendships, and then you're stepping into new ventures, and you can sort of pull and tug yourself into these different dimensional realities as you're moving through into the solidification process of like embodied being that consciousness in your physical realm, in your physical experience. And what's really uncomfortable about this is that this shift that has taken place on a global scale, and not just the 144, not just the bringers of change, like globally, there are human beings that have chosen new earth and this new earth consciousness, and not actually knowing how to be in the new earth experience because it is new. And there is no previous formatting. There is no previous synapses pathways for your neurology. There is no collective consciousness to follow. There is no movement forward because you're actually creating the movement forward. And so what's occurring is a lot of us are getting a little stuck. We're getting a little worried in the form of, is this changing? What's going on? How come I'm in this new earth and I feel the worst that I felt through my whole awakening journey, or I'm going through another dark night of the soul. What is going on? Or a death process, and there's rebirth taking place. And that's because at a cellular level, your physical organic being is actually deleting, decoding, and completely de-armoring the consciousness that is stored in the physical of your body. So you might be finding that you're waking up and you're feeling a sense of emotion that you have no reason to be feeling. You're like, why am I feeling this? Why am I feeling irritated? Why am I then feeling resentment and annoyed? What is all of this going on in my physical body? In my experience, nothing's happened. No one triggered me. Nothing's going on. I don't understand. And it's because the physical body is actually going into each and every cell and going, okay, well, this doesn't resonate in the new earth, so we're going to take this out. We're going to delete this. We're going to delete that. And so what happens when something's moving through your cellular frequency, through your body's anatomy, is you will feel it. You will be with it. So just being with the tears, being with the emotion that's there. If you want to move it along quicker, then it's like going in, sitting in mind-heart coherence, going into a meditative state, going into the awareness of the body, and asking the body what can't coexist in New Earth, what can't coexist in your cellular structure in this New Earth vibration, or allowing yourself to just let yourself go through the natural detox process. Because what will happen is when you've arrived into that New Earth reality is your body will catch up. Now you can do it through ease, and the easeful way is actually to work with the body and actually ask the body what needs to be deleted. Because if you use your focused intention, so your conscious thought, to talk to the body will delete and decode what is not of resonance to your New Earth self. Whereas when you allow it to detox naturally, and how I can explain this to the best of my capacity is that when you go for a medicine journey, you have so much frequency coming, you have so much light come into your body that your body goes into a point of often detoxing, sleeping, because it doesn't have enough cognitive awareness to be able to work with yourself and to delete it. So if you're not at a level of consciousness where you're able to talk to your cellular structure and actually work with it, you'll get sick. You will end up in bed. You will purge through the physical ways that your body knows how to. Either way, it's going to catch up. And this is bringing up a lot of confusion. Like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm creating. I'm still like, I know things are getting better, but then they're getting worse again. I'm feeling like, what did I commit myself to? I don't have a lot of individuals landing in the New Earth are realizing that their old Earth paradigm and their blueprints and their mission and all of those things were assigned to them. They're not actually their source, sacred heart's truth. They're not their true expression of being's desire to be in service of. It doesn't light them the fuck up, right? And so when something is not your sacred heart's truth, someone's chosen it for you, or something has been assigned to you, or you've been given specific jobs to take on because maybe others in the collective didn't choose it, maybe because you had some savior complex, maybe because you came here to heal the world, whatever that is. But that's all old Earth paradigms. And so these old Earth functioning systems are having to be deleted, in that there is no savior in the New Earth. There is no beings that are playing a specific role. There is no one that's saying, I am Christ and I am here to bring this frequency. In the New Earth, everyone is creating from their sacred unified truth, which means, yeah, you might hold Christ codes. Yes, you might have a specific frequency that you're here and you're embodying and you're carrying, but there is no point of this assigned expression. These archetypes are created from your frequency of your soul and your spirit and your human being. So your human being is creating in the New Earth. And the old Earth paradigms are still functioning from karma, past lives, from a level of reconciliation, karmic cleanup in the form of distortions, timeline reconciliation. And New Earth doesn't function that way. New Earth works on awareness. New Earth works on conscious creation, conscious dreaming, downloading, focused intention forward. It focuses actually on the creation point, whereas old Earth focuses on the destruction point. And so whilst this stepping out and being in the New Earth, now you might be still between worlds, but many have landed in New Earth and we're like, whoa, what is this? I don't know how to be in this world. I don't know. I have to teach my brain all these things again, right? Because your brain actually has to be taught how to function in the New Earth. Your body has to be taught how to hold the New Earth frequency, how to be your New Earth source soul self. Your body and all of the molecules that are here have to be reminded it's safe to be this, have to change the default programs that are running in your field so that you can look forward. And so this challenge is that this old Earth, New Earth reality system is that we know nothing else. We have functioned in the old earth paradigm since the beginning of time. The patriarchal constructs were there from the very first seeding of the human race. From the very first point, the Anunnaki created the human species through the splicing and through AI, and in this form of genetic modification, is there was specific genetic there were specific genetic alterations that were made to ensure that that expression of the humanoid did not evolve beyond the Anunnaki. And so that patriarchal construct has existed for forever until it hasn't, and now it doesn't, and you have a choice. You can live your human experience in the old earth paradigms of patriarchal and matriarchal distortions and dissension into the extinction paradigm, or you can focus on creation. And see, this is the difference. Old earth is focusing on past. Old earth is focusing on history. Old earth is focusing on dissension, shadow, karma, distortion. New earth doesn't function in that way because it is a whole new paradigm and a whole new frequency of interpretation. You actually can't look back in new earth. You have to be aware of where you've been, aware of what you've walked, but you actually have to be completely willing to detach, delete, let go. You have to be willing to let go of the agendas of the human species. You have to be willing to let go of the historical expressions of the past. You have to be willing to step completely out of that paradigm and into the new earth frequency, which is focused intention on creation forward. Golden planet, how do we serve from sovereignty? How do we serve from truth? That's how you bring free will in. Free will does not get reinstated or abided by while you're still functioning from old earth paradigms. It doesn't work. As soon as your mind focuses on old earth, you're pulled back into that paradigm. And you're back looping in that energy signature, which means that you're just adding and recreating to it. You're not functioning from the new earth. And so the physical is needing to delete. Okay, we need to release this from the cellular structure. We need to change the coding of the way the brain thinks forward. And for many of us, we are going, I don't know what's going on. I don't get it, right? Because your body is gone through so much in the last 18 months. Your body has absolutely been punished. Now, anyone who's in New Earth is either, and I'm saying it with love and kindness, losing hair, putting on weight, gotten way skinnier than what they were, their nourishment. Your physical body has actually been absolutely punished. You've held more light than your body can actually hold so that we could anchor it in. So your body's in overdrive, it's in anxiety, it's in overload. You might be itchy, scratchy, you might be having rashes coming out, you might have purging symptoms through stomach problems, you might taste the metallics and the heavy metals coming out of your physical body. But the thing is, with the holding of this frequency so it could be birthed onto the earth, you've got all of these pillars of light that are basically antennas that have just been penetrated with solar activity and galactic influence, that have had their channels infiltrated with light so that there's so much light coming through them. Their physical body was not designed for that. This human flesh was not designed for what most of us have gone through. If you're watching this message and if you're receiving this, is because you've moved through some level of this. Your body was not designed for this. No amount of the genetic modification that we have done in build up to this point prepared us for that. None. And so what's taking place as this arrival into the new earth has occurred, and for those that are still transitioning over, that receive this now so that they're aware of where they're going, is that your body's going, holy fuck, what do I do now? I actually don't even know what foods to eat, don't know how much water I need. I need to discover what exercise, how much the things that have worked for me in the past don't work in the new earth. None of it. You're basically gone clean slate. You thought you spent all this time in spirituality to find out who you were, and you just found out that you have no fucking idea who you are, and yet you do. And so this rebirth is like an identity crisis for many if you're not aware of what's going on. This level of, I thought I knew my mission. I thought I knew my purpose. I thought I knew what I wanted in a relationship. I thought I knew what my body needed for nourishment. I thought I knew what I liked. All of that has been basically discarded, recoded, recreated, because in the new earth we're functioning from our sovereignty, which means our sacred hearts created our blueprint. In the old earth, it was coded in either for us or before we came. And so something that worked for you when you decided to come, or when your guardians coded you in with different genetic upgrades and different personality types, doesn't meet the new earth you. The new earth you effectively has died and been born. It's like coming into a vessel as a fresh newborn spirit. And I'm here for, instead of creating your gifts and abilities from, you're actually creating it right now. You're going, I get to choose. Oh my fucking God, I get to choose. How amazing is that? And also terrifying. For many, it is terrifying because you haven't had choice. When someone says, yeah, you get to choose your assignment, you get to choose your mission, you get to choose who you want to be, that's absolutely petrifying for most people when they sit with it. They're like, I don't even know what I want. How do I find that? Because freedom has not existed on this planet. And now it does with this new treaty. And if you haven't heard about the treaty is what has allowed for sovereignty to be reinstated, for free will, for the universal laws to be adjusted so that they cannot be manipulated through the form of trickery and manipulation, right? So there are still loopholes. I'm not going to say that the universal laws are like foolproof, because there are still ways that are being navigated and redesigned so that there aren't loopholes, so that you can't manipulate someone. But your sovereign choice is here of, am I going to function in old earth or new earth? And with that, there is a awareness that this freedom for someone, anyone, any being, if you told humanity, if the agenda decided to give up its agenda, hypothetically, and you told the entire human species that you are free, you are infinitely powerful, and you can create anything you want just by focusing your thought forms on it, you would have a world of absolute confusion. What the fuck do I focus my thoughts on? I've only ever known this. I didn't know I was powerful. If everything I think becomes a creation, if every emotion that I am expressing becomes a physical, tangible reality, that is extremely scary, because most people don't know how to be emotionally regulated. Most people don't know how to sit in their body. Most people don't know how to focus their thought forms. Most people don't know how to consciously create. That is why the old earth is still a functioning experience, because they're not ready. Because the world could not function. It would destroy itself. It would create war, because there's too many individual beings that are at a lower consciousness that cannot receive that power. And how consciousness works is you work through the stages of evolution. And when you get to a certain point of consciousness, you unlock that gift and that ability. You unlock that. You have the power when you choose to evolve into the power. Power actually can't be manipulated. It can't be inverted. It's actually the distortion of forgetting power that does that. That's why we don't need gatekeepers. We don't need wisdom keepers. We don't need secret books of knowledge. We don't need any of that, because nothing that I teach, nothing that I say, nothing that comes through my channels, nothing that comes through my mystery school, nothing that I share can be inverted if that person doesn't already have the capacity and the ability to function from that consciousness and chooses directly to go against their source connection, which creates karma for them, right? Because you actually can't use something that you don't understand. You have to have the knowledge, which is why there's these different things saying like, oh, you know, the pyramid code, right? The pyramid code, you can't be given the pyramid code. It's just all marketing. It's just fucking bullshit, really. Is the pyramid code is accessible in the quantum field if you want to go and find it. You can access it and you can download it. You don't need to read it from a book. The reason is because people manipulate the mind that is seeking to understand. But when the mind understands through coming into connection with self, then you are able to be that. Then you are able to use that. And so in New Earth, we know that. In New Earth, there's nothing that needs to be kept. There's nothing that needs to be held on to. There's nothing that you have to prove yourself as an initiate before you can receive this. You share this information. You share this wisdom. You share the truth. You share the law of one. You share from your source and your spirit connection, because you know that no one can use this against me when I'm staying sovereign in my truth and in God's source creator and from a unified mind. You know the secret. And the secret can't be manipulated, because the secret just is. And so that's the difference between old Earth and new Earth. Old Earth continues to create these distorted paradigms around spirituality, around teachings, around inversions, around geometry, number sequencing, everything, right? Old Earth is an inversion. That's what it's doing. This, until it hits extinction. That's what old Earth is doing. And however long that takes for extinction to occur, however many people end up dying, whatever that is a choice. You can choose to function from that reality, or you can step into the new earth and go, actually, yeah, I've done enough karma. I have done enough of that. I'm going to just choose to create from my sovereignty, from my sacred heart, from my source knowing. I'm not going to keep playing into the healing trap. I'm not going to keep playing into the karmic cycle. I'm not going to keep playing into the reincarnation cycle. I'm not going to keep playing into the polarity cycle. I'm not going to keep playing into those paradigms, which are all there as a part of the matrix system and point of distortion to hold you in entrapment from what is available right here, right now. Simply choosing. And so with that, there is a lot of confusion though. Well, you're transitioning out of that because that's all you've ever known. Even for those of us that have met a level of samadhi, transcendence, or multiple levels of meeting this and integrating and meeting and integrating and meeting and integrating, standing in the new earth is extremely different to what you've ever known yourself in any previous time. And so you can't actually compare. So that's a key. Let go of comparison. Let go of judgment. Let go of what you knew. Let go of how you have reconciled your frequencies. Everything is new. Every process is new and every paradigm is new, but it's not at the same time. It comes from a new lens. So if you followed me before, and you understand, and I've been talking about this split in consciousness for the last probably 2 years now, and this shift and this transformation of new earth, old earth, and the weather manipulations and everything that's transforming and the great awakening and blah blah blah, blah to that depth of the exposure project, which is what is happening. And we're in the energy right now of the great reset. The reset is where you go, I actually have to reset everything here. I have to Control Alt Delete myself and do a complete factory reset on my computer So I can program myself and see from the frequency of source truth moving forward, so I don't get caught in that old paradigm. Because over the next couple of years, it's going to get really hard, because there is going to be so much energy. So if you're doing it now, then yeah, it might seem hard now. That's probably going to be a little bit more challenging and a little easier at the same time, because that's how it works. The people that go first, yeah, they don't know where they're going. They create the pathways and they provide the new ways. But those that follow afterwards, they do it in the craziness of the energy, right? So every single wave has its challenges. Every single wave has its ease. It's different for everyone, and we can't compare. We can't judge. We have to see our uniqueness. We have to see that going first is not better than going last. Going last, you have a more easeful trajectory, but you also stayed in the silence for longer, right? You stayed unconscious for longer, but then you can wake up really quick. So this awareness, and I created, and I'm the founder of the DAC process. It's a global movement that is dissension, ascension, completion. It's consciously using the dissension, ascension, and completion. More than one ingestion is using the primary ULL. Sorry, I've just got some antivirus warning coming up. I'm not sure what that means. This modality that I was going to launch in March globally, to globally transform and help humanity heal from trauma and suffering, in the new earth, it doesn't look like that, right? My life's work, everything that I put every piece of my energy into to create, to transcend, to show people another way, that they can step out of their suffering, that they can find a new way. It doesn't look like that in the new earth. I actually can't teach it. I can teach the modality, but I have to do it from a whole different framework of mind. I have to do it from a point of, hang on, we're not healing, we're creating. How do I use this to show people how to create? Thankfully, I already knew that it was there to help people create. You come up with a concept, you want to create something in your life, a business, a relationship, a child. You want to create whatever it is that you want to focus your creation on. The new earth is here, but something in the new earth. You use this structure to deconstruct the consciousness that creates, say, an inversion where the energy systems can't have focused flow on the intention without resistance. So it's like, here is my creation out here. Here I am, and it's dissipating everything that sits in between. So all the thoughts, the stories, the information, the vibrations that are out of resonance, and then you bring the creation into the now moment so it can be embodied, locked in, and read, integrated, and received, and then acted on. And so this is reverse engineering. Instead of focusing on healing, you reverse it and you focus it on creation. But it's the same thing. It's no different. It just has a completely different vibration. So its vibration has completely transformed. That we're not looking at healing. We're not looking at how to get out of your addiction. We're not looking at how to get out of your mental illness or your autoimmune disease. And how I'm going to explain it is I'm going to share with you something. I'm going to share with you the difference between how you might have heard me talk about core wounds, right? Core wounds is old earth. Core wounds, talking about core wounds is old earth. That is what it is. You're focusing on a wound. You're focusing on what's broken. You're focusing on what's wrong. You're focusing on what needs to be fixed. That is the dissension cycle. You will descend, descend, descend every single time. No exception. Yes, you can descend and then complete and clear. And that's what I did. That's how I have gained this information, this knowledge, is I consciously chose to descend. There's a difference. I consciously said, okay, I am sick of living contrast. I am sick of hurting myself. I am sick of those relationships. I am sick of being fatigued. I'm sick of creating illness. I'm sick of that. I don't want to live that life. I don't want to be here if that's my life. So I consciously started to descend, and that's what I guess some people could say shadow work is, but they don't understand consciously ascending. So people are consciously descending, and they're never ascending. They're never completing the cycle. And so you've got all these people with cleared fields that they think they're still got things to clear because they're in an infinite cycle of shadow work, rather than recognizing that they just need to bring back the things that they need to ascend into. The missing pieces, the parts, the frequencies, the vibrations, the gifts, the abilities, the information, right? Lack of information is dissension. Ascension is information, light. That's all. Lack of information, information. If you see it that way, you can change it out of dissension, ascension, which will get you stuck into the old earth paradigm. So, for instance, I'm not saying that in the new earth people don't sabotage themselves, because that would be a lie. In the new earth, people recognize that they sabotage and they choose to consciously meet their saboteur and what it is guiding them into teaching in the creation point. So they don't play their saboteur out. So they don't allow their saboteur to create what has been moving through their field or their life for their entire experience. And so I'm going to share with you what the saboteur energy is, because the saboteur, so me and my partner, my beloved, with the global DAC process, our focus is on helping spiritual people or the spiritual community, as well as business and entrepreneurial people. Now, why? Because they function in yin and yang, but they want union. That's the difference. You can be in your yin and in new earth, and you can be in your yang and new earth, but you desire from your heart to be in union. That's what will shift you. If you want to stay in yin, or you want to stay in yang, and you want to stay in the distorted expression of energy and polarity, then you'll stay in that realm and you'll still dance the mirrors. If you want union, then that's what will happen, is you'll start to shift and function in the new earth frequency. And so this unified point of recognizing I am a woman, yet I am a unified source being. That's the difference. And so our when you look at entrepreneurs and business beings, they are in yang. When you look at spiritual community, most of them are in yin, right? So you've got yang and yin paradigms. And if you look at the yin individuals, their primary desire is connection. Now, that might be connection with a partner, that might be connection with community, that might be connection with inner self or source or God. Their primary desire is connection. Their primary area of what they want to get out of, their limitation, their major limitation, is poverty. Poverty consciousness, whether it be not enough of myself, or for the primary spiritual community, it's actually poverty in the form of scarcity of currency without having enough to live a life of the divine birthright, not having enough money, not having enough things to actually support themselves in this human reality, not enoughness, or poverty consciousness specifically. Now, if you look at poverty consciousness, it goes all the way down into decay if it keeps going. Poverty equals death eventually, right? So you've got something super extreme for the spiritual. And then if you look at the business and the entrepreneurial mindset, their prime focus is wealth, right? Interesting. Poverty over here, and they want wealth. Oh my God. Polarity, right? So you've got the spiritual community's major limitation is poverty, yet in the business and the entrepreneurial, their main focus is wealth. What is their main limitation? And I hope this is connecting some dots for you, because this is really, really powerful. If you can understand polarization and you can start to work in this way within yourself and your reality, you can absolutely step out of old earth and step into dominating your reality from source union, because you can't transcend polarization. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on earth. You can come into the transcendence of being controlled by it, but you can't transcend it. What goes up must come down, right? This is this reality. This is the laws of this universe. It is absolutely an objective truth, one foot in front of the other. You can't get to step 3 without doing step 1 and 2. That's just the objective truth. And if you understand it, then you can use it to create the reality that you actually desire to live, which is what the new earth is about. Understanding that. And so you've got these business and entrepreneurial individuals that are focused on wealth creation. Their major limitation is isolation. Can you see the other polarity point? Isolation is an entrepreneur's biggest limitation. Yet the spiritual community, which is the yin, they want connection. That is another thing, connection, isolation. What they are doing is showing the absolute mirror to perfection if they join and connect with each other. Because the yang, business and entrepreneur, get to share with the yin, spiritual community, and they get to create a unified perspective where business and spirituality, self-growth in the form of unification come together, and we create those businesses. We create those medical systems. We create those communities. Communities cannot be built by spiritual people alone in the yin, because you need the balance. You need the yang entrepreneurial business mindset. We need to learn from each other. That is a necessity. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be the business entrepreneurial individual. So in my relationship, I am definitely the spiritual one, right? And it doesn't matter whether I'm a man or a woman. But my partner is definitely more entrepreneurial and business mindset. But he's very spiritual, and I have learned a lot from him. And so we're marrying and merging these for the new earth reality. So what is it? I just feel like I want to share this very quickly, because I realize we're going over in some time and I could talk for a while. Like, it's just like, haven't been in this energy for a while. And it feels really nice, because I started and I was like, why are we doing this, Source? Why are we going on live right now? Is the main thing between a spiritual community individual and an entrepreneurial individual, their major limitation that they both have is sabotage. Now, sabotage creates mistrust. Now, I could dissect this in the form of why isolation occurs and also why poverty occurs, because mistrust in others and in self ripples out through your entire experience. Now, if you have sabotaging behavior and that's rippled through both of these paradigms as their common denominator, then that's what we got to start at, right? Because mistrust means, for the entrepreneurial business person, they are not going to trust their intuitive connection. They do not trust source or intuitive guidance. They do not trust themselves, because they're focused so much on outside things to create a level of trust and safety in their life. Wealth. Now, the spiritual community trusts God, source, surrender, all of that more than they trust any other human being, which means that they're not creating that connection or those structures of different things that are going to create wealth. They're not actually trusting their human experience as well. And with this is generated, and quite surprisingly generated, by the belief. Now I'm going to write it down. I wrote it down specifically so that I made sure I said it properly. So the core belief that generates this, in every single one, if you're willing to admit it to yourself, if you're willing to own it, that's the difference between New Earth. You're willing to go, yep, yeah, I do that, I have that, and I am that, but I would love to own it and change it. Right? There is no projection, there's no justification, there's no you did this. It's ownership, it's accountability. I create my reality. So this core belief that sits there around sabotage, that sits within both these communities, is the core belief, I'm less than perfect, so I deserve nothing. That's a core belief that's sitting in hundreds of thousands and thousands of people. I'm less than perfect, so I deserve nothing. Wow, that is going to completely stop you from being able to be financially abundant and creating the relationship or the community. You will be stuck in isolation if you believe you're less than perfect and don't deserve anything. You're not going to deserve that partner that comes along and wants to dote on you and love you. You're not going to create that business because you're going to think that you are not deserving of the rewards from what it gives you, because you're not deserving of your gifts. You're not deserving of your birthright. You're not deserving of the truth. Right? This is so powerful if you are able to recognize the extensiveness of what polarization provides for you. Now, the beautiful thing about the sabotage, now I'm not going to share the other aspects, but I will, but I will. The core thought is nothing works, right? So the thought is a mental thing. Nothing works. This doesn't work. Nothing works in the form of nothing works with my partner. Nothing works to help my business. Nothing works to change my addiction. Nothing works. I've tried everything, right? That energy. Nothing. Doesn't matter, nothing. That creates the sabotage energy. Now, the energy, the actual emotion, the primary emotion is agitation. It's agitation. Agitation's a powerful energy if we are willing to use it, because agitation is vibration that moves so fast that if you decide to clear the distortion aspect, you can funnel it into a point of creation. Now, the other areas of this is that once this is reconciled, once this core belief is reconciled, you have the creation point, which is actually gaining self-respect. So if you imagine all of these individuals coming into self-respect, just self-respect, what would happen in relationships? What would happen in business? What would happen in our communities if we all had self-respect? Because when you have self-respect, you have self-love. You have self-honor. Self-respect guides you into truly living heart-based. Now, when we have heart-based consciousness in both of these paradigms, which currently is not there, anyone who thinks that that is occurring is delusional, because the spiritual community is not heart-based, and neither is our business paradigms. But the heart-based consciousness is what we came to the earth for. Now, whether or not we still align and agree with that, that's the union point. The heart is the union point. The heart is where masculine and feminine meet. The heart is where we decide that we're going to listen to the soul and live from there, where it dissolves. So my invitation for you in receiving all of these ups, downs, ins, outs, rounds and rounds, is to ask yourself, where are you really functioning from? Because if you can't be honest with yourself, you're not going to be able to live in the new earth. You might have connected to it. You might have felt it. You might have been activated by it, but you are not going to be able to arrive from it. And if you have landed in the new earth and you're still like, yeah, nah, I'm still functioning from the old earth and I'm really attached to it, you will pull yourself back into that paradigm, because your sovereignty is still going to be choosing that until you don't. So you'll have the contrast until you're willing to sit in the unification of the ease and grace in this point of consciously creating forward. So with that, I love you. Thank you for receiving me in my whatever this energy is. And receiving all of these activations. It is a pleasure to jump on live and get to express a little bit about some of the things that are moving through. I pray that my arrival into the new earth is a little more swift and I can be a little bit more clear in my communication and my message, because I am in the same space. I have deleted so much from my experience. I'm focused on the forward, and the forward is not yet completely clear. I've got a lot of pieces, I've got a lot of puzzles, I've done a lot of preparation, a lot of planning, a lot of writing, because that's what we're doing. We are creating for our movement forward. I never used to plan. I plan. And that is really powerful because I'm actually planning my entire experience that I get to replan and I get to re-choose and I get to redesign over and over and over. But I'm not doing it from here. I'm doing it from here. I'm doing it from God. I'm doing it from the I am. And that's amazing. But I'm also very honest. I am not there yet. Probably another 3 or 4 days of still residual old earth, cellular, molecular distortions to be decoded. And so some of you might be experiencing it through your dreams. I know that me and my partner have had a lot of deletions taking place in our dream state, where I've had dreams where I didn't know anyone in the dream. I've had really horrific dreams, like horrific dreams, nightmares, processing this whatever has been in my cells. And that can be ancestral. You can be going into someone's ancestral memory and decoding it and deleting it and processing it in your dream state. You might be having a meditation and end up in a place that you're like, I don't remember this. This isn't familiar. Where the fuck am I? Because that is something that is in the cellular structure of your body. Now, your body might have its own, there are 2 spirited beings on this planet. I am one of them. My body has its own spirit and I have my spirit, and we coexist in union together in this vessel. And my body's spirit has a completely different history. So I've had to also purify her out of her old earth experience. Now, I'm not going to complicate things too much because that gets a little confusing, but there is a lot of things that are happening that are like, this is weird. I don't understand what's going on. And what it is your cellular body. It has to, like the earth, completely transform and change. All right, my darlings, I hope that you enjoyed this transmission. Please like and subscribe. Share this with anyone you might think would grab value from it. Until next time, Ahava.